Welcome everyone. Thanks for coming along this morning. My name is James Bullock and I'm here with my colleagues Emma Robinson, Paula Harrison, Sue Rennie, Mike Brown and Lucy Ball. So as I hope you realise, this is a workshop on the work we've been doing on UK climate and socio-economic scenarios, the data and products we've realised through the project run within the UK Centre for Ecology and Hydrology, and it's funded from NERC through our national capability funding. What we're aiming to do is quite uniquely, produce a set of projections of multiple environmental drivers under different scenarios towards the end of the century. And so the idea is these different drivers will be coherent in the sense that they relate to each other and are consistent across the different drivers. So we're looking at the top, socioeconomic change and climate change, and how these affect land use change, pollution, and which are themselves drivers of land use change as a driver of pollution change, and how, as an example of how one might use these data, how they all cascade down to affect aspects of biodiversity. Just to point out that we're not covering absolutely everything that we're doing in this meeting, and within the project we're not covering all the possible uses of these data, which is why we're presenting them to you. So a major outcome of the project is producing stuff which the wider community can use. We're focusing today on the climate and socioeconomic aspects of change, and to do this we're using the IPCC scenario framework. And I'm sure many of you have heard of the representative concentration pathways, the RCPs, which look at climate change. But another aspect of this, which maybe fewer of you know about, are the shared socioeconomic pathways. And since about 2010, the IPCC has developed both these sets of scenarios, RCPs and SSPs, which is a new approach which allowed consideration of both climate and societal futures in parallel, but without making them totally dependent on each other. And this is because of simple things like you could have different pathways of societal change which could produce similar climate change outcomes. And another important thing is these scenarios are to explore alternative futures, not will happen, but what could happen. And they allow us to characterize uncertainty and explore uncertainty in projections for the future. And the way these are often used is that you take RCPs, and as you know, there are various climate warming trajectories under the different RCPs. This SSPs similarly have different societal trajectories, and we can combine them in different more sensible and less sensible ways to look at produce integrated scenarios to produce analyses. So you combine different SSPs with different RCPs. There's quite a complex process, and I just draw your attention to the paper cited at the bottom of this slide, which gives you a really good update of where we are with these things and background. So we're going to talk today about what we've done for the UK with SSPs and RCPs, and what we've achieved within SPEED so far is taken the global and European SSPs and downscaled and enriched them for the UK to represent a wide range of sectors, and also to represent more recently the different UK countries at a fairly fine scale geographic resolution. For the RCPs, we've downscaled climate data, the Met Office UK-SCAPE 18 data, to represent all RCPs, and also at very high resolution, both temporal and spatial, 1 day and 1 kilometre. We haven't covered all ensemble members, but a good range of them, and also been doing quite a lot of work on bias correcting them to historical climate, and Emma will explain that in a minute. Paula will explain the SSPs and Emma the RCPs more. An important point to point out is that, as I said, we're funded by NERC as part of this UK-SCAPE programme, but also some of the work's been done in collaboration with others. So the UK SSPs we've done initial work within SPEED, but then funding through the UK Climate Resilience Programme has allowed us to develop further in collaboration with Cambridge Econometrics, the Universities of Edinburgh and Exeter. And the climate change scenarios have really been dependent and built on the UK climate projections, UK-SCAPE 18, provided by the Met Office. And we've done that by talking to the Met Office in quite a lot of detail. So what we want to do today is describe what we've been doing and how we've achieved these data sets and products, to start explaining and discussing with you the basis and potential use of these data sets and products. And really, a major aim is to assess how you, the wider community, might want to use these. And ultimately, especially because the RCP data are incredibly detailed and complex, the best approach is to making these climate data available and usable by you guys. We've got quite a lot to cover in the next 2 hours. So you've had the timetable, I think, in your invitation, so I won't go into detail now. But what we're going to do is, after I've presented, we'll intersperse presentations with some Menti polls, which Sue will explain to you in a minute. We'll have Q&A on how we've achieved some of these data sets, and the last stage will be really getting a lot of information from you guys about what functionality you need to access the climate data.